Ambassador Krell Vorak of the Zenui Collective slumped in his hover chair, mandibles twitching with undisguised boredom as the 437th Galactic Council meeting dragged into its 14th hour. His 4 eyes blinked independently, a nervous habit he developed after centuries of tedious diplomacy. Furthermore, droned High Chancellor Uxlon, a gelatinous blob whose speech bubbles formed flawless hexagons. The trade negotiations between the Paxos Federation and the Lunar Accord must comply with Section 9372, Paragraph 14 of the Galactic Commerce Treaty. Krell glanced at his neural interface. 6 more hours. Fantastic. I'd rather be sucked into a black hole, he muttered to his aide, Dix. That would breach Protocol 341b, sir. Death during council proceedings must be documented in triplicate, Dia X responded, completely serious. Krell sighed. Sometimes I wonder why we even evolved intelligence. The council chamber itself was a massive amphitheater carved into an asteroid placed at the precise mathematical center of the known galaxy. Or at least, it had been when construction started 12,000 years ago. Now it was slightly off-center, much to the distress of the galaxy's more pedantic species. Hundreds of representatives sat in concentric rings, each delegation in seating tailored to their biology. The methane-breathing Gorgons bubbled contentedly in sealed tanks. The crystalline luminari pulsed in various hues, mostly soul-draining shades of gray as far as Krell could tell. Point of order, called Ambassador Pnar of the Hivemind Consortium, their towering insectoid frame rising. I must interrupt these stimulating trade talks to raise a matter of critical urgency. Krell's antennae twitched. Something interesting? Impossible. Uxlon's gelatinous form rippled with irritation. The council recognizes Ambassador Pnar. Be brief, we still have 177,000 subclauses to approve before the dinner recess. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual activity in System XJ42, a dull little star system in the Orion Spur. A previously unknown spacefaring species has just achieved faster-than-light travel. A wave of murmurs rippled through the chamber. A new species joining the galactic community was a rare event, maybe 1 or 2 every century. Let First Contact handle it according to standard protocol, burbled Ambassador Gle of the Aquarian Alliance. Must we derail this riveting discussion on tariff codes? Pnar's compound eyes gleamed. Because, dear colleagues, these beings reached FTL travel just 78 years after splitting the atom. The chamber fell silent, then exploded in chaos. Impossible! Nonsense! The data must be faulty. Krell's exoskeleton stiffened. Normally, it took a species 1,200 to 2,000 years to go from atomic energy to FTL. The record was held by the now extinct Valoran, 991 years, and that had led directly to their collapse. High Chancellor Uxlon doubled in size, a sign of extreme agitation. Order! The chamber quieted. Ambassador Pnar, what else do we know of these anomalies? They call themselves humans. Their homeworld is a blue-green planet named Earth. They are carbon-based bipeds, incredibly adaptable. Their tech development is erratic. They went from crude flight to landing on their moon in just 66 years. How is that even possible? Asked Ambassador Torlak of the Silicon Consciousness, his metallic voice reverberating. Such rapid progress defies all known models. Pnar's mandibles clicked with tension. There's more, they appear to be, a contradiction in terms, that's what the historical records called them. Humans were, somehow, both deeply cooperative and relentlessly competitive. They forged intense social bonds, yet constantly waged war among themselves. They crafted awe-inspiring works of art, even as they designed ever more efficient ways to annihilate one another. Krell leaned forward, genuinely intrigued for the first time in centuries. So, they're insane, by our standards. Completely, Pnar confirmed. But there's something even more unsettling. The council chamber, usually humming with breathing apparatus, neural link chatter, and digestive murmurs, fell into an eerie silence. They've created artificial intelligence without proper containment. Split the atom without grasping the full danger. Altered their own DNA while still fighting over pigmentation differences in their skin. And, Pnar paused for effect, They've done all of this while their planet's ecosystem teeters on the edge of collapse. So they are doomed, said Ambassador Zorn of the Collective Consciousness, a note of relief in their harmonic voice. Another species that burns bright, dies young. Tragic, but not unusual. That's just it, Pna replied. Our models should show them self-destructing imminently. But they don't. Somehow, they keep surviving. They approach the edge, and then pull back. They adapt, evolve, innovate. Crisis doesn't destroy them, it drives them forward. High Chancellor Uxlon's gelatinous surface rippled with unease. Your recommendation, Ambassador Pna? An immediate observation mission. No contact yet, only data gathering. There's something about these humans that defies all projections. And I don't like unaccounted for variables in my galaxy. The motion passed, unanimously. The first unanimous decision in 347 years. Even Krell voted yes instead of abstaining out of spite, as was his custom. Captain Lorella VX of the Zentar science vessel Meticulous Inquiry stared at the viewscreen, her 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Run the simulation again, she ordered, voice steady despite the churn in her mind. Her second-in-command, Science Officer Kel, entered the commands with his 6-fingered hands. Captain, this is the 17th run. The results are unchanged. The hologram flickered to life, projecting an impossible scenario, humans at war with the Draken Empire, and winning. The Drakens, elite warriors of the galaxy, stood over 3 meters tall, their armored scales nearly indestructible, their strength enough to bend durasteel. For 6,000 years, they'd served as the Galactic Council's enforcers, maintaining peace by sheer reputation. And yet, by every model, these flimsy, reckless humans, with their delicate bodies, crude weaponry, and comically tiny fleet, were defeating them. It makes no sense, Lorella muttered, pacing the bridge. They are outnumbered 20-1. Their tech is laughably outdated. Their ships look like they're held together with tape and hope. And yet, they win. Krell's mandibles twitched. In 3% of outcomes. How? Kel pulled up more data. It's a mix of variables. First, humans are absurdly adaptable. Their biology allows survival in conditions that would kill most species. We've seen them voluntarily subject themselves to freezing cold and extreme heat, for fun, Lorella added. Bizarre. Second, they are unpredictable. Other species behave according to statistical norms. Humans defy probability. They attempt near-impossible strategies, and somehow, they work. Luck isn't science, Lorella chittered, frustrated. Agreed, Krell nodded. But there's a third factor. Their social structure. When threatened, humans don't fracture the way most species do. Instead, they unify. Their typically divisive nature shifts into a focused, collective resolve that defies our model's ability to predict outcomes. Lorella clicked her mandibles in contemplation. So you're saying the Drakens will lose, because humans are too stubborn to admit defeat? Essentially, yes. But there's another factor, Krell replied. Humans possess a trait they call spite. To explain, he brought up footage from human entertainment. They will endure personal suffering if it means causing harm to an enemy. They've even engineered weapons not to win, but to guarantee mutual destruction. And perhaps most unsettling of all, the screen displayed humans laughing during high-risk activities, some with disturbingly high fatality rates. They find humor in danger. So, they are suicidal? Lorella asked, uneasily. No. That's what's so perplexing. They deeply value life, their own and others. Their societies are built around preserving it. Yet they constantly gamble it away for reasons we still can't decode. Lorella turned her gaze toward the image of Earth, slowly rotating on the viewscreen. From orbit, it looked tranquil, even beautiful, hard to reconcile with the chaotic beings who called it home. How long have we been monitoring them? She asked. 3 standard cycles, Captain. We've intercepted their broadcasts, studied their internet, observed their wars. The more we learn, the less sense they make. And now, they're preparing to expand beyond their solar system. Lorella stared at Earth, troubled. What happens when the rest of the galaxy discovers them? That depends, Krell said warily, on who discovers them first. Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared. Red warning lights bathed the bridge. "Captain," called the sensor officer. "We've detected a Draken battlecruiser entering the system." Lorella's blood ran cold. "That's impossible. This mission is classified." "How did they?" "Unknown, Captain. But they're heading straight for Earth." "Hail them. Now." The communications officer frantically worked her console. No response. "They are jamming all frequencies." Lorella's thoughts raced. The Drakens, xenophobic to the core, viewed unknown species as threats to be neutralized. If they found the humans, she realized aloud, they're going to attack. To eliminate them before they become a threat. "We have to alert the Council," Cal insisted. "There's no time," Lorella snapped. "The Draken ship will reach Earth orbit in 17 minutes. Even with quantum communication, the Council would argue for days." She stood, decision hardening in her voice. "Pilot, set an intercept course for the Draken vessel. Weapons, power up disruptors. Comms, prepare a tight beam transmission to Earth's military channels." Her crew froze in disbelief. "Captain, we're a science vessel," Cal objected. "A Draken warship, our weapons are ceremonial. And direct contact with humans violates 16 Council protocols." "I'm aware, science officer," Lorella said grimly. "But I won't sit and watch an entire species be wiped out just because our bureaucracy is too slow to act." "They'll destroy us," warned the weapons officer. "Perhaps. But based on our simulations, buying the humans' time is all they'll need." She turned to comms. "Send the message. Attention, humans. This is Captain Lorella V of the Galactic Observation Vessel Meticulous Inquiry. Your planet is about to be attacked by a hostile alien force known as the Drakens. We will attempt to delay them. Prepare your defenses. They are coming." As the transmission beamed out toward Earth, Lorella stared at the growing image of the blue planet. What was she doing? Risking her crew, her ship, perhaps even her species, by intervening. And yet, something about these humans. Their defiance. Their creativity. Their refusal to surrender. It had gotten under her skin. Beneath her exoskeleton, Lorella felt it. The humans deserved a chance. The colossal Draken battlecruiser filled the viewport ahead, bristling with weapons, casting a shadow over the meticulous inquiry like a predator looming over helpless prey. "They are charging weapons," reported the sensor officer, his voice tight with fear. "Evasive maneuvers," Lorella ordered. "And hail them, one last time." The view screen flickered. A cold, reptilian face appeared, Draken Commander Vexcor. "This is Commander Vexcor of the Imperial warship Inevitable Conquest. You are interfering in Draken affairs, Zentari vessel. Stand down, or be destroyed." Lorella stood firm, meeting the Draken's yellow, slitted gaze without a flinch. "This is a neutral system under Galactic Council protection. Your presence here is unauthorized." Vexcor let out a laugh, grating and cruel, like stone grinding against stone. "The Council's protection is meaningless. We've been monitoring your surveillance. These humans pose a threat to Draken supremacy. They will be eradicated before they leave their cradle." "I cannot allow that," Lorella said, surprised at the steel in her voice. "Then you will die with them," Vexcor snarled. The transmission cut. "They are targeting us," the sensor officer cried. Lorella looked around the bridge. Her crew, scientists, not soldiers, prepared for the worst. They were about to die, for a species they'd never even met. "It's been an honor," she whispered. The Draken ship fired. A massive energy beam tore through space toward the meticulous inquiry, but it never landed. A small, battered-looking spacecraft darted into its path, taking the full impact. It exploded in a brilliant fireball. "What was that?" Lorella gasped. "A human ship," Cal said, stunned. They intercepted the blast." Alarms flared again. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple launches from Earth, hundreds of small craft. Incoming transmission, translators are decoding now." A voice rang through the bridge, full of resolve and unmistakable human bravado. This is General Alexandra Morrow of Earth Defense Force. Thanks for the heads up, Captain VX. We got your message just in time. Now let's show these Draken bullies what happens when you pick a fight with humanity. Aboard the inevitable Conquest, Commander Vexcor slammed his scaled fist on the console. What is this nonsense? How did primitive humans detect our approach? His tactical officer, a stout Draken female named Scar Havax, looked up. The Zentari science vessel warned them, Commander. They used frequencies the humans could receive. Treachery! Vexcor roared. The Council will hear of this violation if we survive to report it. Scar Havax muttered something under her breath. What was that, tactical officer? She straightened. The human vessels are forming up, sir. Their technology is crude, but there are many of them. The main screen displayed the swarm. Tiny Earth ships surged forward, mere insects compared to the Draken battlecruiser, yet moving with purpose, aggression, and coordination. Their designs were rugged, inelegant, nothing like the sleek perfection honed by 6,000 years of Draken engineering. Vexcor sneered. Engage primary weapons. Let us teach these primitives, and their Zentari allies, the price of defiance. Back on the meticulous inquiry, Lorella watched in stunned silence as humanity's fleet sprang to life. How did they mobilize so quickly? She asked, almost to herself. Kel's fingers danced across the console, data scrolling fast. They were already on alert, Captain. Planetary defense systems activated nearly 8 hours ago. But how? Lorella whispered. They shouldn't have detected either of our ships, or the Drakens. No known method, Kel replied. But they did. These readings suggest their military had been conducting exercises when our message arrived. The communications officer's voice interrupted. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. The view screen shifted to show a human female with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. Lorella recognized her instantly from Earth broadcasts, General Alexandra Moreno, one of their military leaders. This is General Alexandra Moreno. Our vessels will engage the hostile craft. Get your science ship clear of the combat zone, Captain VX. We appreciate the warning, but we'll handle this from here. Lorella clicked her mandibles in surprise. General Moreno, with respect, you don't understand what you're facing. The Draken battlecruiser outclasses your entire fleet. Their weapons could reduce your planet's surface to glass. The human's face was stoic, showing no warmth, but her eyes burned with a quiet determination. Perhaps, but they have never faced humans before. The transmission cut. Krell stepped closer to Lorella, his voice low. Their confidence, it makes no logical sense. The Drakens will annihilate them. Lorella's gaze never left the screen. Maybe, but I'm beginning to think logic doesn't apply when it comes to humans. General Alexandra Moreno sat in the command chair of the EDF flagship Defiant, her eyes glued to the tactical displays as her fleet moved into position. Unlike the massive alien vessels, Earth's ships were small, fast, and crewed by only 3 to 5 personnel. What they lacked in size, they made up for in numbers and maneuverability. All squadrons report ready, the executive officer, Major Jackson Torres, said. Excellent. Deploy according to Scenario 17. Torres raised an eyebrow. Scenario 17? That's a desperation play. We're facing an advanced alien species with technology centuries beyond ours. Moreno met his gaze with calm resolve. Desperation is appropriate. Yes. She activated the fleet-wide channel, her voice clear and resolute. Attention all EDF personnel. Today, we face humanity's first extraterrestrial threat. The odds are against us. The enemy is technologically superior, but throughout history, humans have overcome impossible odds through courage, ingenuity, and sheer bloody-mindedness. Today will be no different. Her eyes fixed on the massive Draken ship. Execute Scenario 17. Godspeed. Without hesitation, the human fleet split into 5 distinct groups, each taking a different vector toward the Draken battlecruiser. They are powering up weapons, Torres reported. Moreno nodded, grimly resigned. As expected. Alpha Squadron, Commence Operation Thunderclap. Commander Vexcor watched the human fleet approach with contempt. Primitive tactics, he sneered. They don't even have proper shielding technology. The tactical display showed the human vessels splitting into groups. Target the largest concentration, Vexcor ordered. One blast should demonstrate our superiority. The Draken battlecruiser's main cannon powered up, energy building to world-shattering levels. With a flourish, Vexcor gave the order to fire. A beam of destructive energy shot toward the largest group of human ships, but at the last moment, the human vessels scattered in every direction. The beam passed harmlessly through empty space. They anticipated our targeting, Scar Havax observed, her voice laced with alarm. Recalibrating. Before they could fire again, dozens of small objects detached from the human vessels, accelerating toward the Draken cruiser at tremendous speed. What are those? Vexcor demanded. Unknown projectiles, Scar Havax replied, her voice tense. Too small for our targeting systems to lock onto effectively. Impossible. Nothing is too small for Draken targeting systems. The projectile struck the Draken battlecruiser's shields, causing them to flare brilliantly. Shield strength at 97%, the defense officer reported. Minimal damage. Vexcor laughed. See? Their weapons are ineffective. Continue. Firing continued, but with each successive wave of projectiles, more followed, each impact seemingly insignificant, but they were coming in hundreds, then thousands. Shield strength at 93%, 89%, 84%, the defense officer reported, his voice growing more frantic. Vexcor's laughter faltered, his eyes narrowing. How is this possible? Scar Havax examined her readings, her voice low with disbelief. The projectiles are simple kinetic weapons, but they are impacting at near-relativistic speeds. And there's something else, sensors detect nuclear material. Nuclear? Vexcor echoed incredulously. These primitives are using atomic weapons. Scar Havax's voice dropped even lower. Not exactly. They're using directed nuclear pulse propulsion. The explosions are accelerating their projectiles to velocities our defensive systems weren't designed to counter. A particularly large impact shook the Draken cruiser, causing the shields to flicker. Shields at 71% and falling, the defense officer reported, no longer bothering to hide his panic. Return fire. Destroy them all. Vexcor roared. The battlecruiser's weapons systems fired, sending multiple energy beams lancing out toward the human fleet. Humanity's resilience, several Earth vessels exploded spectacularly, Scar Havax reported, watching the tactical screen. Direct hits on 17 enemy craft. How many remain? Vexcor demanded. Approximately 483. Vexcor's yellow eyes widened in disbelief. How many vessels does this primitive species possess? Unknown, Scar Havax replied, her voice tinged with unease. But they are launching more from their planet's surface and orbital platforms. Another series of impacts rocked the Draken cruiser, and the shields weakened further. Shields at 58%, reported the increasingly nervous defense officer. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vexcor felt a flicker of uncertainty. Aboard the meticulous inquiry Captain Lorella and her crew watched the unfolding battle with growing astonishment. The humans are actually damaging the Draken vessel, Krell said, his tone one of disbelief. Their strategy is unconventional, but it's proving effective. Lorella studied the tactical display closely. They are sacrificing vessels to draw Draken fire, while others close in to deliver maximum damage. It's almost as if they're using their ships as ammunition. Krell frowned. Highly inefficient. The loss of life must be substantial. Check your readings again, science officer, Lorella said, her tone sharp. The human vessels appear to be rudimentary, possibly even remotely operated. Krell recalculated the data. You're right, Captain. Most of their vessels only contain one human, some have none at all. They are treating their ships as expendable weapons rather than precious assets. A concept the Drakens would never consider. Lorella nodded grimly. Their vessels are works of art, centuries in construction. To them, sacrificing a ship is unthinkable. The humans, however, are exploiting that cultural blind spot. Krell's realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. They are fighting asymmetrically. A new alert blared through the sensor array. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual activity from Earth's lunar surface," reported the sensor officer. Lorella's gaze snapped to the screen. "Specify." The sensor officer responded, "Energy readings consistent with massive electromagnetic acceleration." On the view screen, they watched in stunned silence as enormous projectiles launched from the far side of Earth's moon, racing toward the Draken battlecruiser at incredible speeds. "Those are crude mass drivers," Kell said, analyzing the data. "Simple technology, but devastating at these velocities." The lunar projectiles struck the Draken vessel's weakened shields like hammers, causing visible disruptions across the energy barrier. "Draken shields failing," the sensor officer reported, with something approaching awe in her voice. Aboard the Draken battlecruiser, chaos erupted on the Draken ship. "Shields at 12%, the defense officer shouted, his voice drowned out by the blaring alarms. Commander Vexcor ripped his command chair from its position as another impact shook the massive vessel. "How? These are primitives. They've barely left their own world." Scar Havax approached him, her expression grim. "Commander, I recommend immediate withdrawal. The humans are now launching projectiles from their moon. Our shields cannot withstand sustained bombardment." "Retreat? Before primitives?" Vexcor snarled, fury radiating from his reptilian features. "Charge the planet. Destroy it. We will end this now, and wipe them from existence." "Commander, that would violate council law," Scar Havax cautioned, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Extinction-level weapons are forbidden." "I don't care." Vexcor roared, his spittle flying across the bridge. "No primitive species makes fools of the Draken Empire." Scar Havax locked her gaze on Vexcor for a moment. Then, with swift precision, she drew her sidearm and fired a stun blast, sending Vexcor collapsing to the deck. The bridge fell into stunned silence. "By Draken military code, I am relieving Commander Vexcor of duty due to mental instability," Scar Havax said, her voice unwavering. "Prepare for an emergency hyperspace jump." As the crew scrambled into action, Scar Havax opened a communication channel to the human fleet. "This is Acting Commander Scar Havax of the Draken Imperial Forces. We are withdrawing from this system. The attack was unauthorized. There will be discussions." 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council Chamber Ambassador Krell Vorak of the Zentar Collective found himself in the most unusual diplomatic situation of his long career. The Galactic Council Chamber, typically a place of slow deliberation and measured procedure, was in chaos. Delegates shouted, threats were exchanged, and at least 2 species had withdrawn into protective hibernation. At the center of it all stood General Alexandra Moreno, the first human representative to address the council. She stood tall in her military uniform, calm and unfazed by the pandemonium she had caused. High Chancellor UX Loon, his gelatinous form pulsing with stress, finally managed to restore order. "General Moreno," the Chancellor began, his voice a strained ripple. "Your introduction to the galactic community has been unprecedented. Captain V's decision to warn your planet violated numerous non-interference protocols, yet her actions prevented what might have been an extinction-level event for your species." Moreno nodded, her expression unwavering. "We are grateful to Captain V. She will always have Earth's friendship." Lyle, seated nearby, felt her exoskeleton warm with embarrassment. She had expected a court-martial, not commendation. Yet, the political ramifications of the Draken attack had complicated matters considerably. "The Draken Empire's unprovoked aggression cannot be overlooked," Ambassador Pnar stated. "Yet neither can the effectiveness of humanity's response. You blooded the nose of the galaxy's premier military power using technology centuries behind theirs." "We are resourceful," Moreno said, with characteristic understatement. Ambassador Tlack of the Silicon Consciousness leaned forward, his expression calculating. "What humanity lacks in technological sophistication, it compensates for with alarming creativity and weaponry. This gives many council members concern." "I understand your concern," Moreno replied calmly. But humanity seeks peaceful cooperation with the galactic community. We defended ourselves when attacked. Nothing more. But your defense involved nuclear pulse propulsion, relativistic kinetic bombardment, and mass drivers, Ambassador Zorn pointed out. Most species abandoned such crude, but brutally effective weapons once they developed energy-based alternatives. We work with what we have, Moreno shrugged. When facing a technologically superior opponent, unconventional tactics become necessary. Krell found himself both disturbed and fascinated by the humans' pragmatism. There was something refreshingly direct about these beings. Chancellor UX Loon rippled thoughtfully. The question before us is how to proceed. The Draken Empire demands sanctions against Earth for damaging one of their battle cruisers. Earth, in turn, has requested membership in the Galactic Council and protection against future Draken aggression. If I may, Krell said, rising from his hover chair, all four of his eyes focusing on General Moreno. Humanity has demonstrated both its danger and its potential value. They defeated a Draken battlecruiser with primitive technology and tactical innovation. Imagine what they could accomplish as allies rather than adversaries. You suggest we welcome them? Ambassador GL asked incredulously. After they've demonstrated such violence? I suggest we'd be fools to reject them, Krell replied bluntly. The Drakens attacked them without provocation. They defended themselves with remarkable effectiveness. Would any of us have done differently? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Furthermore, Krell continued, warming to his argument, our xenopsychologist reports indicate humans possess extraordinary adaptability and learning capacity. They advance more rapidly than any known species. We can either have them as allies or enemies. I know which I prefer. Chancellor UX Loon considered this carefully. The Council will deliberate on Earth's petition for membership. In the meantime, a formal censure of the Draken Empire for their unauthorized military action seems appropriate. The Draken representative hissed but made no objection. Their position had become politically untenable after Acting Commander Scar Havax's testimony about Vexcor's instability. The aftermath as the council session adjourned, Krell approached General Moreno. That went better than expected, he said with a series of clicks. Moreno smiled. Did it? I got the impression half the council wants to quarantine Earth and the other half wants to study us like lab specimens. True, Krell conceded, but none want to fight you. That's progress. It's a start. Moreno nodded. Though I suspect our relationship with the Drakens isn't over. Almost certainly not, Krell agreed. They are not accustomed to defeat. But next time, you will have allies. Will we? Moreno raised an eyebrow. Yes, Krell said, his mandibles forming what passed for a smile. Including the Zenta. General Moreno laughed, a sound that still struck Krell as oddly musical. Well, Ambassador, she said, if there's one thing humans excel at, it's keeping things interesting. Krell's reflection later, as Krell prepared his report for the Zenta Collective, he reflected on the implications of humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. They were unpredictable, innovative, resourceful, and possessed a unique blend of cooperation and competition that made them formidable. The Galactic Council had operated by consensus and careful deliberation for 12,000 years. Humanity would disrupt that comfortable pattern, introducing chaos, urgency, and potential conflict. Yet, Krell couldn't help feeling a sense of anticipation. The galaxy had grown stagnant, complacent. Perhaps humans were exactly what they needed, an unpredictable force who would challenge them, push boundaries, and remind the ancient species of the drive that had once taken them to the stars. They will make terrible enemies, Krell mused to himself, but potentially the best allies the galaxy has seen in millennia. He finished his report with a single, potent recommendation: embrace the humans. Learn from them. Guide them where possible. But most importantly, never underestimate them. For good or ill, the age of comfortable predictability in galactic affairs is over. The humans have arrived, and nothing will be the same again.